Last time, I glued the front and back halves of these two-way speakers together. I did a little bit of grinding on the edges to smooth them out mostly, and I started experimenting with making these disc-shaped bases for them. There's different sized disc molds that are actually molds for making cakes, at least the red ones are. And actually this one I think is a little bit too small. And the white mold next to it is a little bit too big. And once I've laid up fiberglass in this, I can go and do something else while that hardens. And there's a lot of work to do on these two ways. There's some divots where I ground off some lumps, and there's some cracks from the process of gluing the front and back halves together. So I've got some gel coat, and I've thinned it out with just a little bit of styrene, so it's not as thick. It won't leave such thick brush strokes. This will lay down a little bit more like paint. Because all the brush marks and stuff I'm going to have to sand out of this later. I'm also marking these so that I can grind them again and make the flange area more even. The original grind was just sort of random to grind the fuzzy parts off of the edge. And this is a different cake mold. It's a little bit bigger than the previous one and a little bit smaller than that white mold next to it. And I think this middle size is going to be just right. And again, once I've laid up fiberglass, I can go back to working on these other speakers until the fiberglass hardens, and then I can move on to the next step over there. And this is just basically grinding these back to that line that I marked, where the flange edges will be pretty much even with respect to the spheres. And now I can demold this part, and right away I can lay up some more fiberglass. I let the gel coat sit for about 10 minutes after I mix in the hardener. And then I have to keep brushing it up on the sides until it finishes hardening. So after that 10-minute wait, it's going to harden within the next 5 minutes. And after laying up a few layers of fiberglass in here, I can go back to my other project. This is going to be a tabletop. This mold was made to be a tabletop, not a cake. And I think the idea was that you were supposed to fill this up with clear resin and maybe embed flowers or something in the clear resin. But I'm just painting a thin layer of gel coat and then laying up a couple also thin layers of chopped strand mat in here. And actually, I'm not going to demold this part right away. I'm going to leave this fiberglass in the mold to protect it while it's being stored. And by the time I'm through with that, I can demold this other part. Now that I've ground these flanges back to where they'll probably wind up being, I'm starting to put a few coats of gel coat on the edge. And I'm also using these round speakers that weren't joined by a flange. And I need to do some adjustments on all of them right here at this little ridge at the edge to get the speaker to fit in there just right. The hole is just a little bit too small. So the flap disc on the Dremel seems to be a real good tool for making these real fine adjustments here at on the inside edge. And the little turbo can blow the dust out of there real good, and it can blow it off of my face shield and the camera lens so everybody can see good again. And this is a real tight fit. It would maybe be okay, but I'm just going to do a little bit more of an adjustment and then it'll fit just right. And that's a nice fit. I don't have to force it in. It just goes in and out beautifully. And I don't know, as you can probably have guessed, I made more than a few of these.